Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Friday, March 17, 2023, which means I will be talking about AEW Rampage and Friday Night Smackdown. First, I want to wish everybody happy St. Patrick's Day. Now, normally when I do this review, I always like to start off with Rampage, which had a special start time today of 8:30. But I think I'm going to start off with Friday Night Smackdown because I really want to talk about what happened with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, normally I start off from the beginning, but I feel like what happened with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens needs to be talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. All right, so tonight we had, in the main event of SmackDown, we had Sami Zayn confronting Jey Uso. Jey Uso is out in the ring, and Sami Zayn comes out, and he says that he's finally pulling up because that's what Jey wanted. He asked Jey Uso if he's sure he wants to do this. And Jey says that he had one job to do tonight, and Sami Zayn needs to hear this. Jey says that he didn't like or trust Sami Zayn since day one, and he didn't want him around the family. But then week after week, they started to like him. You know, Jimmy started to like him, Paul Heyman started to like him, even Roman Reigns started to like him, and Solo Sikoa as well. Jey says that Sami Zayn betrayed him and embarrassed him and made him look stupid in front of the entire world. Now remember, during the trial of Sami Zayn, Jey stood up for Sami and said that Sami was for the bloodline, and look what ended up happening. Jey calls him a fake ass Uso. I was like, oh my god. Jey Uso called him that. Jey goes on to say that he had no choice. Sami Zayn corrects him and says that he had a choice, and he keeps choosing to take Roman Reigns' abuse. Sami Zayn says that Jey is mad at himself. He's not mad at the fact that Sami hit Roman with the steel chair. He's mad that he didn't do it first. And now Jey doesn't say anything after this. He turns around and he attacks Sami Zayn. And then, of course, Jimmy comes out and he attacks Sami Zayn. And then we got the Usos double teaming Sami Zayn. They hit poor Sami Zayn with steel steps. And out of nowhere, Kevin Owens' music plays. And he saves Sami Zayn from the beatdown with the Usos. Now, mind you, earlier in the night, Kevin Owens had left. So nobody knew if Kevin Owens would be here to save Sami Zayn. And after he helped take out the Usos, they have this moment in the ring and they hug. They finally hug, which means Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are finally reunited. And it's official. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are back together. And in the back, you can see Cody Rhodes was watching this whole thing play out on TV, and he was smiling. So now the only thing that is left to do next week, there is literally 1 week before SmackDown. Only thing that is left to do is for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to challenge the Usos for those undisputed tag team title belts. And this was long overdue. It was a long road, a long winding road, but we finally got to where we needed to get, and that was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reunited. And I'm so glad they did it tonight and didn't wait till literally the last minute at the Go Home show or even next week to reunite them. I still think, because of everything that's played out, I still think that in the Go Home show to WrestleMania, we're probably going to get a 6-man tag match. It might be Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline. But overall, this was such a fantastic segment. Honestly loved the way SmackDown ended. It was so good. But with that being said, let's start from the beginning. Okay, so tonight's SmackDown opened up with Cody Rhodes. Of course, the crowd was chanting for Cody. He says that they could talk about WrestleMania, and in the last few weeks on the road to WrestleMania, he has the utmost respect for their champion, Roman Reigns. He thinks Roman Reigns is the greatest champion in sports entertainment, and he looks forward to beating him at WrestleMania. And the crowd chants for Cody. He doesn't want to talk about somebody. He wants to talk to somebody. He says that he knows Kevin Owens is back there and is watching, and he calls him out. And he's asking very nicely for Kevin Owens to come out. So Kevin Owens comes out, and he thanks Cody. And he says that he's pretty sure he knows what this is about. Cody says that he wants Kevin Owens to hear him out. He doesn't think this conversation is between the two of them, and it also involves Sami Zayn. Cody goes on to say that he has an incredible respect and love for Kevin Owens. It's the truth. Because 6 or 7 years ago, when he was bold enough to say to WWE, "Good luck in your future endeavors," Kevin Owens introduced him to some friends. Of course, we know what friends he's talking about. He's referring to the Elite, but he can't name drop them. He said that Kevin Owens bettered his livelihood, and that's a favor he can never repay. Cody asks Kevin Owens why they can't have this conversation. Kevin Owens has said that he's heard everything Cody has to say. And then Sami Zayn comes out, and he basically says that throughout the years, him and Kevin Owens have done despicable things to each other, and whether they're friends or enemies, they've always found a way to forgive each other. And he doesn't understand why this time it's any different. Cody says that they're in the service industry, in the people-pleasing industry. And every single one of the people in attendance wants to see them back on the same page, and the crowd starts chanting, "Hug it out, hug it out." Sami says that the crowd wants it, he wants it, and they can be the ones to bring down the ones. He knows it, and it might take years for them to work it out. Kevin Owens says that he gets it. They don't have to be in order to take down the bloodline. But why would he fight for someone who doesn't even want to be his friend? And then he leaves. So honestly, this was such a fantastic way to start off SmackDown. Kevin always brought up a good point. Why would he want to help Sami Zayn take down the bloodline when he doesn't even want to be his friend? The follow-up segment is Kevin Owens is in the parking lot, is approaching his car. Sami Zayn stops him and tells him that they're friends. They'll always be friends, but they're not just friends. They're like brothers, and he loves them. And Kevin Owens doesn't respond to this. He just leaves. So obviously, Sami Zayn is trying to make amends with Kevin Owens, and it was such a good segments with Sami Zayn all night. Our opening contest is Santos Escobar and Zelina versus Dominik and Rhea Ripley. This was a decent match. It wasn't too bad. I really like the fact that Zelina did the Hurricanrana to Dominik. I still don't understand why WWE doesn't let Zelina wrestle some more. She's actually a really good wrestler, but they just have her as a manager. Of course, Dominik, Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley win after Rhea Ripley hits Zelina with the riptide. You know, I don't know what's going on with the booking of Santos Escobar, but ever since he came to SmackDown and Legado del Fantasma came to SmackDown, their booking has been atrocious. You would think they would make him this strong, dominant, badass faction, but no. Instead, here we are, and then they also randomly turned him face too. So afterwards, Dominik calls out his dad, who he calls a deadbeat of a father. And then you see Rey Mysterio appear on the Titantron, and he's on his way to the ring. So this leads into Rey Mysterio and Dominik segment having a moment in the ring. So Dominik says to Rhea, "Look at that mommy," and asks if she knows how many nights he went without a father. Rey asks Rhea if he can have a moment alone with his son. I'm surprised that she actually complied and gave them that moment alone. So Dom says that now that Rey has time, he questions where Rey was when he needed him, and that Rey took away his WrestleMania moment. And Dominik was going to call him a piece of, pero Rey interjected and he said que basta, which pretty much means that Rey was telling him enough. And Rey admits that he wasn't the best father in the world. He missed birthdays, Christmases, graduations, soccer games, etc. And he made these sacrifices so that Dom, his sister, and his mom can have a life that they can only dream of. He goes on to say that when Dom got in trouble, the Mysterio name bailed him out. He starts getting choked up, and he says that he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and that it really hurts and will love nothing more than to have Dominik stand by him on stage. Rey says maybe it's too late, but his biggest regret is what Dom has become. He goes on to say that if an ungrateful, disrespectful kid called him out at WrestleMania, he would gladly whoop their ass. And then the crowd starts chanting, "Kick his ass, kick his ass." But Rey then says that fighting Dom would be the biggest disgrace as a father, and says that Dominik isn't worth it and won't fight him now or never, and certainly won't fight him at WrestleMania. And then as Rey Mysterio's walking away, Dom asks, why is it not? Because Rey is doing what he knows best, and that's run away. So obviously, with 2 weeks to go, I honestly think what's going to happen is that at the Hall of Fame, Dominik is going to crash his dad's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. You know, his sister's going to be there, his mom's going to be there. So maybe he's gonna use them to try to get a match with Rey Mysterio. But this cannot be a regular one-on-one match. This might be a retirement match, maybe a street fight, maybe a loser leaves WWE match. But this is definitely not just gonna be a regular match. And I would be so shocked if it is a regular match. Okay, so next we find out that we're gonna have two Fatal 4-Way tag matches, one for the men and one for the women. And we start with the most random match of all. It was Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus Tegan Nox and Emma. This match really didn't do it for me. I mean, good for Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan for winning. They're going to go into WrestleMania, but this was just so random. And when the hell did Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan start teaming together? When did Tegan Nox and Emma start teaming together? These two teams were just randomly thrown together. I'm thinking maybe Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are going to be a part of this too. They're like the only other legitimate tag team here. You're basically just throwing random people together and calling them a tag team. But what else is new? After this, we get a Charlotte Flair promo, and she talks about the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that is absolutely true. The more things change, the more they stay the same. She said that this business had a Flair as champion and a Rhodes as challenger, and lo and behold, we have a Flair as champion and a Rhodes as challenger. She goes on to say she's walking into her 7th WrestleMania, and she says that in the past she's either walked in as champion or as challenger. Either way, she was a star. She said 3 years ago Rhea Ripley couldn't go through her, and today she can go through her. Charlotte goes on to say that Rhea isn't a star until she goes through Charlotte. Rhea Ripley interrupts. She comes out with Dominik and says that Charlotte is 100% right. She chose her. She didn't pick Bianca because she had her reasons, and they'll revisit that. I'm still curious as to why we didn't get Rhea versus Bianca. They teased it. If you guys remember months ago, there was this backstage segment on Raw with Bianca where Judgment Day was walking and Bianca was walking past them, and she had this moment with Rhea. I really thought it was going to get Rhea versus Bianca at WrestleMania, but that was not the case. So Rhea says that men and women cower in fear towards her in the locker room. Now, Charlotte is SmackDown Women's Champion for a reason. She's a 14-time champion for a reason, and it's because she's a superstar, one of the biggest stars in WWE. Rhea says that she wants it and needs it because she wants to be a star. Charlotte will learn how to call Rhea champion and will learn to fear her. Dominik gets in Charlotte's face, and then Rhea cheap shots her. And then this leads to an all-out brawl. Like, Charlotte clotheslines Rhea on the outside. They go at it. Charlotte kicks the security guard. That poor security guard didn't even do anything. Rhea sends Charlotte over the announce table, and they end up in the crowd. And at the end, Charlotte raises her title, and Rhea is looking on from the crowd. So I had to say, I do like the fact that they gave us a little bit more out of Charlotte and Rhea, because definitely they were missing it. They had, up to this point, they hadn't really done anything to make me scream, oh my god, like this is definitely main event worthy. I get it. Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble winner goes on to headline WrestleMania. But, you know, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus Usos is a much bigger story here. So I don't know what order they're going to go in, but I hope that the women do not follow the tag match, because I feel like if this match is somewhat of a letdown, it's going to not do any justice going after the tag match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But what do you guys think? Should Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley headline night 1 of WrestleMania, or should Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos headline night 1 of WrestleMania? We get a Sami Zayn backstage interview, and he says that it's kind of a heavy night because the guy he once considered a brother drove off talking about Kevin Owens, and the other guy he once also considered a brother turned on him talking about Jey Uso. And Sami Zayn goes on to say that since Jey wants him to pull up, he will face the consequences. So he's ready to face Jey Uso. Then we get Xavier Woods versus LA Knight, and I was not a huge fan of this. You know, it's bad enough that LA Knight is not on the WrestleMania card, but he lost to Kofi Kingston via distraction by Xavier Woods. And here tonight, he lost to Xavier Woods, and he lost to Xavier Woods clean. Why is LA Knight losing to a tag team? They're not even singles competitors. Like, really? I just feel bad for LA Knight. So this leads into an LA Knight backstage segment. And as he's walking, I saw this on Twitter. Somebody pointed out that if you look closely right there in that little circle, it looks like that's Bray Wyatt's logo. So with 2 weeks to go, I don't know what's going to happen with LA Knight and Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley, since Bobby Lashley was originally supposed to face Bray Wyatt. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that means we're getting a rematch at WrestleMania probably? So LA Knight approaches Rey Mysterio, who is like signing those autograph pictures, and he says that if Rey doesn't want to fight Dominik, he will gladly fight Dominik. He says he'll be a deadbeat dad, and he'll change his name to LA Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio tells LA Knight in Spanish to basically watch what he's saying, and it attacks LA Knight. And it's so hilarious because Knight then is like, he has no clue what Rey Mysterio said. For you non-Spanish speakers, Rey Mysterio is basically saying to LA Knight to watch what he is saying and not to mess with him. So after this, we get the top intercontinental title contender match. It is Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and of course the winner will go on to face Gunther at WrestleMania. So Sheamus comes out with the shillelagh, Drew McIntyre comes out with his sword. They both point at the WrestleMania side. And of course, Imperium comes out and watches the match. This was a great match. I was actually enjoying this match. I really like that suplex that Drew McIntyre did to Sheamus, followed by the superplex. The 10 beats to the Baron was always cool to see. Both men were going back and forth. Both men ended up going down. I really wanted to do it where Sheamus attempted to do a bro kick and Drew McIntyre attempted to do a Claymore at the same time. They collided and they both went down. Gunther argued with the ref. Vinci and Kaiser then attacked Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. This match ends in DQ, and Gunther powerbombs Drew McIntyre onto Sheamus. And then Adam Pearce appears on the Titantron and he makes it official at WrestleMania. We are getting a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. It is going to be Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, and that is going to be a really good match. Or as Sheamus likes to say, a banger after banger after banger. It's going to be a banger of a match, that's for sure. And then after that, we get the Kansas City Showdown between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, but I talked about that at the beginning. Overall, tonight's SmackDown was just average, honestly. Like, there were things I liked, there were things I disliked. I would have to give tonight's SmackDown, if it wasn't for the Bloodline stuff and the fact that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reunited and hugged it out, I would say this has been a 5 out of 10 SmackDown. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5 out of 10 just because I feel like there were a few good things on SmackDown and some not so good things. The thing to say the show was definitely the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reuniting. If we didn't have that or the opening segment with Cody Rhodes, this show would have just been a total sucky episode. With that being said, that concludes the SmackDown review. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of tonight's SmackDown? Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? Okay, so I turn my attention over to AEW Rampage, St. Patrick's Day Slam. So we kicked things off with the TNT Championship match. It was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Fenix, who was defending the TNT title in his first ever title defense. So this wasn't a bad match. I mean, I would say, like, Powerhouse Hobbs looked incredibly strong against Fenix. I mean, you had Powerhouse Hobbs doing the delayed vertical suplex to Fenix. You had him hit the spine buster twice. And of course, Powerhouse Hobbs is victorious. This is his first title defense. There's no way he's losing. But to add insult to injury, at the end, Powerhouse Hobbs grabs Alex Abrahantes. But this was actually just a distraction, which allowed QT Marshall to hit the diamond cutter to poor Alex Abrahantes. So overall, good way to start off AEW Rampage. So we find out a couple things. Number one, March 29th marks the return of Adam Cole, baby. And it's also the debut of AEW All Access. Also find out that Stu Grayson is back in AEW and he is looking for Jon Moxley and he wants him in a one-on-one match. We get Taya Valkyrie's in-ring debut as she faces off against Ava Lawless. This was maybe you could say a showcase match, squash match, because Taya Valkyrie obviously wins here. And then Jade Cargill comes out. She comes out with Layla Gray and Smart Mark Sterling, who is like taking notes. And honestly, I think Taya Valkyrie is taking that TBS title from Jade Cargill. It's time Jade Cargill loses that TBS title so that she can move on to other storylines. Because I think right now what's stopping Jade Cargill from being involved in other storylines is the fact that she's holding on to that title and she's undefeated. I feel like once she loses the title and her undefeated streak, she'll be able to move on to other storylines. We get Daddy Magic Matt Mernard and Coolhand Angelo Parker versus the Bollywood Boys, which was not a bad match. Obviously, Daddy Magic and Coolhand Angelo Parker win, and they mock the Acclaim by scissoring in the middle of the ring. We get a guns segment. They basically approach Top Flight thinking that they're valet, and they claim to be the best brother tag team. Now, Darius Martin suggests the Lucha Brothers, Matt and Jeff, the Young Bucks. But of course, the Guns are talking about themselves. And we find out that on Wednesday, the Guns will defend their tag titles against Top Flight. Should be a good match. In our main event, we get Jericho Appreciation Society's Daniel Garcia versus House of Black Brody King. This was, this match was all right. But damn, like Brody King was he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. My favorite spot in this match was when Daniel Garcia put Brody King into the walls of Jericho. And when Brody King broke free, Daniel Garcia argued with the ref and disallowed Chris Jericho to hit Brody King with the bat. And so once Daniel Garcia put Brody King in a sleeper, he passed out. So Daniel Garcia is victorious, and that is how AEW Rampage went off the air. You can totally tell the NCAA game affected this Rampage because they felt like this was a really short Rampage. Normally, we get like segments in between and matches, but we didn't get that tonight. Hell, we didn't even get a main event promo. So obviously, they cut a lot out because of time. But tonight's Rampage was just a regular run-of-the-mill Rampage. Nothing special happened. So I'm going to give tonight's Rampage a 5 out of 10. But with that being said, that concludes this review. So my AEW trading card video should be out tomorrow. Finally put it together. It's the AEW Upper Deck box. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Also, too, I can hopefully finally live stream again on Monday. So with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I hope to see you guys live Monday after Raw. Have a great night. Bye.